Hi, and welcome to the Geometry and Math Models Orientation for Pflugerville High School for the school year of 2020 to 2021. The objective of this presentation is to introduce students and parents to policies and procedures for geometry and math models. I'd like students to make some introductions of themselves. I've created a Padlet that's linked here. So students can post their names, their career aspirations, and 3 of their hobbies, and then comment on their classmates' posts so we can kind of get a discussion going. And we'll loop back to this on the first day of school when we are in our Zoom meeting. So an introduction of myself. I am Miss Mays. I just recently got married, so my email that you see here is my contact, and probably the names that students will see on their schedule is Landry. That's my maiden name, but now I am Miss Mays. So it's kind of confusing. There's 2 different last names, but they're the same person. My Google site is linked here, but you've probably already gotten to that since you've gotten to this presentation. Tutoring hours I will have on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. after school, and my class schedule is listed below down here. So online classroom norms, students are expected to engage both synchronously and asynchronously. So these 2 words are new and confusing. They were new and confusing to me also. Synchronous learning is basically when we are on Zoom and we are talking live to each other and we can see each other. So that is synchronous. This is where I'll be answering questions, working practice problems with you, and where we can chat in real time. This will be roughly 30 minutes a day, and depending on if you have my class 3 times a week or 2 times a week, it may be for a total of 90 minutes or it may be for a total of 60 minutes. So since we are on an A and B schedule, sometimes you'll have me 3 times a week, in which case that Zoom time will total 90 minutes. And sometimes you may have me twice a week, in which case it will total for 60 minutes. Asynchronous learning is whenever you're learning on your own. And this will be the majority of how you're going to learn while we are doing virtual school. This can include anything from watching videos, working online on practice problems that I've assigned, working on maybe a project, anything that does not involve us on Zoom talking face-to-face is asynchronous. And again, depending on when you have me 3 times a week or twice a week, the minutes for that will vary, but it'll be roughly an hour a day. So if you have me 3 times a week, that will total 180 minutes. And if you have me twice a week, that will total 120 minutes. All of these Zoom sessions will be recorded. So if you miss a synchronous lesson, you should be able to go back and look at the recording on our Google Classroom. If you do, or if you are able to attend a synchronous lesson, please be on time. When you log on, your video will be on, but you will be on mute. You will stay on mute. If you have a question while we are on that Zoom session, you will privately chat me. Then I will unmute you so you can ask your question, and that's how things will go. First day attendance. This is slightly different from other days. That's why it's on its own slide. So you have to do at least one of these things that's listed here. You don't have to do all of them, just at least one to get your attendance for the first day of school. So that means attend synchronous learning, meaning our Zoom session, and or turn in the daily activity before 11:59 p.m. and or emailing me letting me know that you were there. If I don't see one of those 3 things on the first day of school, then I'll be making contact with you either by phone or by email. There are 2 ways that you can gain daily attendance. This is not talking about the first day of school anymore, just every other day. That means you can attend a synchronous session, and or you can turn in the daily activity or assignment within the time window of 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. So the good thing about asynchronous learning is that it doesn't have to be done during normal school hours. So if you decide that you want to work on our assignment at 8 o'clock at night and turn it in to me at 10:30 at night, that is totally fine, and you will get your attendance for that day. The only kind of tricky thing about this is that, and this is where I'm addressing the red box down here. Say we have class on Monday and you're not there, but I assign an assignment on Monday to Wednesday. And even though you weren't in class on Monday, you do turn it in on time on Wednesday. You will still not get attendance for Monday, but you will get it for Wednesday. And that is because you had no activity for my class on Monday, but you did have activity for my class on Wednesday when you went to turn in that assignment. So therefore, that activity counts for your attendance on Wednesday, and you will still be counted as absent on Monday. Our grading policy. The grade point distribution for geometry and math models is 70% major grades, so tests and quizzes, and 30% minor grades, so everything else that is not a test or a quiz. In geometry, a test will count as 2 quiz grades, so a test is roughly double the amount of a quiz. And in math models, tests will count for 50% of this major category. Late work. Students who do not turn in their work on time will have 5 days after the due date to turn in the assignment for 20 points off the maximum grade. Students who are absent, regardless of reasons, will have 3 days to turn in any makeup work after you return to school. Extra credit. There may be opportunities for extra credit, but they will probably be few and far between, and when I decide that they are necessary. Retests and quiz corrections. For retests, students who scored less than a 70 on a test can retest within 3 days of receiving the graded test for a maximum grade of a 70. Students need to complete the correction sheets for the corresponding tests for all the questions they missed and attend tutorials before they are allowed to retest. Students can only retest once. So this means that if you're planning on retaking a test, you need to have demonstrated to me that you have studied and that you've looked over your old tests and understood what you did wrong in order to retest. We don't want people just coming and bombing the first test and not even studying and just deciding to rely on a retake. That's not what's going to happen. You need to make sure that you studied and that you're not wasting anyone's time by coming take that retest. For quiz corrections, students who scored less than a 70 but more than a 60 on a quiz can correct the quiz within 3 days of receiving the graded quiz for a maximum grade of a 70. Students need to use the correction paper to do their corrections on. And if this does occur where you can do quiz corrections, I will give you that correction paper that I'm talking about. Students who made less than a 60 need to do their corrections and retake the quiz for a 70. Google Classroom weekly summaries. All assignments and communication for Ms. Mays' class will be delivered on Google Classroom. Please check Google Classroom daily for postings and assignments. Parents are encouraged to ask for students' summary. Please email me with your student's name and class period so that I can send you the summaries to your email. If you need more information on how to do that, there is a link right there. And there are also how-to videos on my Google site. So how to be successful in class. In both geometry and math models, we'll be learning a lot of new vocabulary. So use the correct vocabulary when you talk and write. Don't try and just describe the word to me. Really try and use the word when you're talking. It helps you be more precise, and it helps me understand what you're trying to communicate. This vocabulary you will see on tests and quizzes, and so you're going to need to be familiar with it so you also know what's being asked of you on those tests and quizzes. You can make flip cards. You can make them online, you can make them using index cards, and you can even have those in front of you as we're going through class. For study habits, it's better if you study for small chunks at a time. So like 15-20 minute blocks, take a break, go back to it later on. Don't try and just cram for 2 to 3 hours because your brain tends to just forget things the longer you sit there. Make sure you have your notes in front of you. Notes, believe it or not, are useful. That's why we take them. So make sure you use them when you have them. And then also if you have somebody that you can teach the material back to, that is probably the most useful way to study. Whenever we are in our Zoom meetings, or whether we are on asynchronous time, if you have a question, please make sure that you are asking it in a detailed way. Emailing me and saying X doesn't work, I don't understand. So make sure that, especially because we can't see each other, that you're being as detailed as possible and using those vocabulary words, so that I can help you more effectively. And same with me. I'm going to be mindful of how I ask my questions and how I use my vocabulary so that we can be in more smooth communication as we go through this virtual class. Here are a couple more resources to the district virtual learning website and access to meals. If we do go back into classrooms, certain classroom expectations and privileges will change. The content for classroom norms only pertains to online learning. So most of the stuff that I just went through is just because we are in a virtual classroom right now. Should we be able to go back to school, most things will change. I look forward to meeting all of y'all on Zoom, and I'm going to try my best to make this a great virtual class. And thank you for listening.